Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, you know that Aerosmith song, Living on the Edge? Well, that's me right now. I'm living on this chair's edge. Why? Because my cat is between me and that, whatever that is. So it's behind my back. So I'm barely sitting. So if I'm going to slide off, uh, you'll see. So what's going on? We have an article here blaming the Western weapons. Blaming them for what? For jamming or not being capable of functioning in the Ukrainian environment when winter comes. I tend to believe this to a certain extent, that the Western weapons, because they try to make them too complicated sometimes, jam, or they are incapable of functioning in the cold weather. And this is what this expert, Russian expert, will tell us about. So I believe that. You could see, if you want, the Vietnam War. That's when it was kind of the first time when they realized maybe AK versus again, AK-47 goes. The other one, no. Here it is, Sputnik. Ukraine's Western weapons will, quote-unquote, stop firing in cold weather. Expert. Obviously, the expert is Russian. But it's worth finding why this guy thinks that. We just enhance our knowledge, maybe. Ukrainian soldiers have to grapple with a whole array of problems pertaining to military equipment, logistics, and everyday life while at the front line. Russian military expert and retired Colonel Anatoly Matveychuk, you're a Ukrainian, Matveychuk, by the chuk at the end, told Sputnik. The Ukrainian Army enters the second winter of its armed conflict with Russian forces trying to tackle the biting cold, mud, and an invasion of mice in the trenches and dugouts. I think the same thing is with the Russians as well. Ukraine has already lost its Soviet and Russian-made equipment, the good equipment, I can feel it, which is fully designed to operate in northern areas with low temperatures. Anatoly Matveychuk, a military expert and retired colonel, told Sputnik. According to him, such equipment was fitted with special heaters for the cold snap. Well, if it's just about the heaters, then that could be easily fixed, don't you think? If that's the whole point. It says here, the military hardware, I'm quoting, that has entered into service with the Ukrainian Army, including the US-made M1-Abrams tanks. Yeah, where are they? Have you heard about them being active anywhere? They supposedly were delivered about 2 months, a month ago, at least a month and a half ago. Are they in? I don't think so. They're like Challenger 2 tanks. Don't put them in risky operations. Just use them in Hawaii or Tahiti or Fiji, okay? On the beach with a martini or something. Is specially designed, it says, the Abrams 1 tanks are specifically designed to run in a tropical climate. Why? Are they going to find in the tropics or just Middle East? And it should be kept away from the cold. Have you noticed that the Abrams tanks do not appear on the battlefield? Oh, look at this guy. All right. They are suitable neither for winter nor for swamps. They have rubber rollers and tracks. I don't know. Which is why they glide on the ice. I don't know if that is true or not. I would be skeptical that rubber rollers and tracks can keep a tank rolling, but I do not know. While the Russian T-90 tanks break the ice and are capable of moving in any area, the M1s cannot do so because they slide, the Russian expert says. I'm not an expert, but I'm not an idiot. Remember those icebreakers? The icebreakers, how do they break the ice? What's the main principle? They're not pushing it, they're pushing it to a certain extent, but after that, what they do? They climb over the ice and then through its weight, cracks it. Climbs over, cracks it. Climbs and through its weight, crashes it. That's the way they do it. So if the front of the ship is made, let's say, of something that doesn't break, regardless if it's plastic or it's metal. I'm just exaggerating, obviously, but plastic or metal, because he doesn't mention those rollers or tracks breaking. They say they slide. Well, the icebreaker, through its weight, break it. So I think the tank, through its weight, will break the ice, not by the plastic thing. If the plastic thing doesn't break, it has the same grooves, doesn't it? So the weight breaks it and gets that. Unless he would have said the rollers break or the tracks break, I would say it. Okay, but even though I don't know the plastic used for that, not impossible nowadays. Go and buy a handgun, you see how much polymer plastic has in it. You shoot it one time, happened to me anyway. So, and not only, look at the cars, how much plastic they had. And I'm going to give you an example, quick example, and it's unbelievable. I'm going to be cryptic. I helped someone change oil, the engine oil, to an Audi. That's not my job. I do it because you save a lot of money if you change your own oil for Mercedes, Audi, Bentleys, and whatever you have. So I helped this person do it, and I went and I bought the screw that goes underneath where the oil pan comes, the oil, and that's plastic. I couldn't believe that. It's plastic. The whole shit, and it doesn't even screw like 5 times. It goes like 3 times and then locks. That's Audi. Now, and that's just an example. I'm not a mechanic, but I do this because I save a lot of money when I do it, and I help other people do it because it's not a big deal. We drink some wine, and then doing that, it takes half an hour. Listen to music, and you put synthetic oil and whatever filter good you put over there. So anyway, let's move back here. So I don't know if the rolls, just by weight, cracks. They crack, they don't slide, because when steel is cold, is as slippery as plastic. It's cold, it's hard. So I think this is garbage. But I'm not an expert, and I'm not an idiot. Because they slide, and the other ones don't slide. Why? Because it's steel. First thing. And again, the knobs in the guns will stop working. The tanks and combat vehicles will stop starting. Starting? What do the Americans don't have what the other guys have? Starter? Or what? The diesel is too thick. They have warmers. My God, like semi-trucks have warmers, engine. You just plug it in and it keeps the engine warm. And the tank. And the weapons that Western supplied to Kiev will stop firing. Not convinced right here. Matvichuk said, adding that the Ukrainians have failed to learn lessons from last winter. Now, this is like the same garbage I heard, I think, from when I came to the United States of America, and I rubbed shoulders with some certain people, and some of them were Vietnam War veterans. And obviously they were very patriotic, and in a conversations with them, one of them mentioned, actually 2 of them, that the Russian MiGs are garbage. Well, they're not garbage, because if they would be garbage, these guys would not be taking them into consideration, but they do. And their main reason was this, which I think, again, it's garbage, but anyway, like they said, this particular guy said, they are heavy. The airplanes are so heavy they can't fly. So I think that was just a myth, pushed around in the military or somewhere. When the MiGs first came, the MiG-15 showed up in the Korean War, screw these guys. And anyway, they were talking about, what was that MiG? I can't remember what MiG we're talking about. But anyway, it was just, they're too heavy, they can't fly. I was like, okay, the same here. They will stop firing because why? They will stop starting. Why? Maybe they're not designed, they don't have these heaters, but it's not something that it's so hard to attach. As far as I understand, the guy continues, the colonel, the sanitary and epidemiological situation, that's epiderm, the skin, situation in the Ukrainian army is complicated, with many soldiers receiving some strange vaccinations from Western doctors, the expert said again. Commenting on the fact that an array of Ukrainian troops suffer from measles, he hinted that doctors may be conducting biological experiments on these soldiers. I don't know, my friends. It's a little bit too far-fetched for me. He said that to tackle the issue, it's necessary to carry out special measures against the vermin, which stipulate withdrawing Ukrainian soldiers from trenches or dugouts on a temporary basis. Talks about mice, right? Yeah, the issue of mice. Well, like the Russians are not attacked by mice. I don't know, my friend. I mentioned this because they said, well, it's going to stop them from working. I don't think the Abrams are not active in Ukraine. If they are not active, I don't have any evidence to support this claim, but I'm pretty sure that the Ukrainians would have hailed the great achievements of the Abrams 1 tank in Ukraine, which they didn't for so long already. So I don't think they're kept far away from the Russians' attacks, drones or missiles. But I don't think that that's the point. The point, I think these guys are, and I'm looking at the Abrams tanks, right? It doesn't seem to be plastic, but anyway, let's see. I can't even see it, but I can see it. And if it's plastic, as I mentioned before, maybe, but I don't think so. Even if it's plastic, I explained how you roll. You roll by your weight, and when the tracks are hard, it doesn't really matter if they then don't break. It doesn't matter if it's a concrete, just a concrete, plastic, or rubber or whatever, steel. So I think the thing with the vaccination, I think, is the same thing as with Russian MiGs being heavy and not being able to take off or something. I don't know, my friends, what to say about this. Regarding not firing because of cold temperature, that is because of the grease. If the grease hardens, then it freezes and the whole thing stalls over there. And through humidity, change a little bit of temperature, humidity freezes. If it's humidity a little bit in the air, freezes the whole mechanism. So that's the whole point when they don't fire. The same thing with this big stuff. But if you have an ignition that is capable to fire, to create the fire with the whatever fuel you use, you shouldn't have any problems using these kind of things. And again, they were designed for tropical use. Like, why? Can you explain to me why? Are the Americans planning to fight only in the tropics? Maybe he refers to the Middle East. That's a different story, but I don't think that's the case. If you look at the Americans' main, how should I put it, adversaries, Russia is one, China is another one. Now, if you want to fight Russia, where are you going to fight it? When they invade, because you're not going to invade. The Russians will invade. From where? From exactly where we are right now. And Belarus and the Baltics. Or going to Finland and Norway towards Sweden. So do you think that these guys did not have a batch ready to prevent the Russians from attacking? Or they take this guy's in my ass here. From attacking? I mean, this is, I think it's childish. But I understand the propaganda coming from. And the other one with the vaccines, not impossible, possible, but these guys did it here with vaccination for COVID. So it wouldn't, as a mandatory thing, unless you lose your job. So over there as a fighter, what do you think you're going to do? Well, you do it. You don't do it, court-martial or on the spot. That's how it works. Oh, you don't think so? Okay. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.